Welcome to She Lancer, Mom Entrepreneur with VoiceOver Angela. I'm your host, Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and this podcast are the audio versions of my live Q&A chats on YouTube. If you'd like to be part of the live Q&A chats, come on over to my YouTube channel, VoiceOver Angela. I'm live every Tuesday at 12 p.m. EST. We talk about voiceover, the business of voiceover, audiobooks, and so much more. Find more information on my website, voiceoverangela.com. Enjoy today's episode. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me again for another live Q&A session here on my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I am a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you just getting started in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you tips, tricks, techniques, things that I do every day in my own voiceover business. And then we get together in these weekly chats to talk about a topic or two. Now, today's topic is a hot one. People keep asking me questions about my thoughts. And for those of you that have watched me for any length of time, you know my exact thoughts on this, but we're going to talk about what you can do as an audiobook narrator or an aspiring audiobook narrator to set yourself apart from this whole AI thing. If you're not new here, you know every week we have a new poll, and that is generally the topic of today. And of course, if you can't already tell, the topic of today is AI narrators versus human narrators. 25 votes on the poll. I'm trying to keep myself on track. 25 votes on the poll so far. It looks like, wow, it keeps flip-flopping between job displacement and quality decline. I think those are the major fears, to be honest. The other options were losing emotional nuance, which I guess could be in the quality decline department. And ethical transparency, I thought, definitely would have been a fear, meaning that I think in the realm of what I meant by that was in the realm of doing the right thing with actual voices, because that's always a factor when AI is involved. But I think the majority of us are worried about losing our jobs to AI and or the quality decline overall of audiobook productions using AI. As we know, audiobooks, or the popularity of audiobooks, continues to grow year over year. I think it was 13% this year. And I read a stat that was, I wrote it down, UK audiobook market is up 31%. And so I think the integration of, or the availability of AI voices for kind of a self-serve for indie authors and smaller publishers is kind of a no-brainer for these audiobook distribution platforms. I mean, if you think about it from a business perspective, it's an easy way to make an easy buck, right? But I think what the majority of these smaller publishers and indie authors are overlooking, and of course, depending on what they're using it for, and I'll explain what I mean. It's a low cost entry into this, quickly growing market of audiobook consumers or consumption. So it's kind of a no-brainer, but what I don't think that they realize at the time is that the people who actually listen to audiobooks, including us narrators, the majority of us narrators enjoy audiobooks ourselves. And from what I have seen on social media and just talking to people and other authors is that nobody really likes AI voices, including myself. Even in, the beginning stages of the integration of AI voices into YouTube documentaries, or if there was a YouTube channel that was telling a story. Like I like, I like spooky stuff. So horror stories and things like that, stories about cryptids, things like that. If it was narrated by an AI voice, I didn't listen to it. And I know a lot of people feel the same. So why in the heck would we use those voices for something that required emotional nuance? The understanding of the human soul and all of the the roller coaster of human emotions. Why would we use an AI voice for that? Because it can't quite get there. That's my rant. So I think AI voices do have a place, but it is not for audiobooks. Maybe some nonfiction, if it's just informational, perhaps that would be an ideal spot for the use of AI voices. But if we're talking about fiction, something that requires interaction between characters and an emotional scene, and you know what I mean. I think I'm just ranting here, but there was a who was that? I wrote it down. Julia Whelan said that an AI voice is like fast food. A human voice is like a home-cooked meal. And I think that is the best analogy. Like I've said many times before, there is a clear line between the two voices. And if you want, what have I said before, cheap, fast, dirty, then go with an AI voice. But if you want something that's got, something that is more premium and that is going to understand the story that it's telling, then you're going to want a human voice. So what can we do as audiobook narrators to set ourselves apart and to make us more marketable? I think this is really the time where audiobook narrators, especially if you're looking into producing fiction, now is the time to really get training, practice. Get with coaches that can help you to bring out that emotion, to find those depths within yourself, to really understand script interpretation, to know how to mark up manuscripts, to make sure that you have a clear understanding of what you're saying, who you're saying it to, and why you're saying it to them, right? The bare minimum, the basics, and then expand upon those to have, these storytelling skills that are just undeniable, right? So I think now is the time for us to really grasp that. Making sure that I touched on everything that I wanted to touch on. That's right. Yeah. Intimacy, sarcasm, and complex pacing. Pacing, I think, is definitely a thing, right? AI sort of has a not so much monotone anymore, but it's very clear pacing. It's not, slowing down to create tension or, any of those things. Narration matters for engagement and retention. Because even if it's informational, what just came to mind is that I'm not going to tell you what book it is because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but I am listening to a nonfiction audiobook that was read by a human narrator, but it has a lot of nuances of AI narration. Everything is overly articulated. It is very one tone. And it's really hard to listen to, but I really want to understand the book. I might have to buy the print copy. So this is why it's extremely important for us as audiobook narrators to really to get our styles and our, get it down. There's too many voices in my head at the moment. I think there was a question that I had here, but I think books on Audible are labeled as AI narrated, are they not? Do you guys know for sure? And if they're not, should they be? Absolutely. I think it absolutely should be. Because I definitely wouldn't buy an AI narrated book because obviously it's irritating. It's hard to follow. It's just, I'm just rambling. Let's see, did I go over everything that I wanted to? Oh, yeah, authors and brands want connection, not just output, for the most part. So I don't want anything that I say today to dissuade you from becoming an audiobook narrator, because that's not my point. If that's what you want to do, then do it. But just understand that you're going to have to invest in some training and some coaching to be the best narrator, and to, have a firm grasp again on script interpretation and getting all the right emotions out, and the pacing and all of the complex nuances that are required of being an audiobook narrator. I think that was everything. Premium narration is still in demand. Okay, let's go over to, hang on, I just want to eyeball the, looks like the poll is still pretty much the same. Looks like most of you are concerned about quality decline. And I do think that at some point, the stats are going to reflect that people don't want to listen to AI voices. Unless, again, if it's something just like a nonfiction informational book. If it's something that's fiction, the sales of that are going to be clear that it's going to have to be redone, in an actual home-cooked meal voice. Oh, we got a lot of comments. Let's get over to the comments. Give me your opinions. Again, this is a community chat, so if you have, I'm sure everyone has opinions on this. So, what are your opinions? Caesar was first in. Hey, Caesar. Oh, hi, Angela. I don't worry much about AI. I don't think they'll ever be good enough to really steal our jobs. To some degree, I worry about quality because AI is cheap and does what's on the tin. And just to tell you, for those of you just getting started in this industry, there have been many times, and I know a lot of other people will say the same, there have been many times when I have been hired to re-record something that was originally done by AI and the client didn't like it. Surprise, surprise. So, just throwing that out there. AI has become rather pervasive in lazy content channels and an easy solution for folks who don't want to or are too shy to record their own voice. I don't think it'll take jobs away from humans. That just reminded me, I had a client last night that I was that I was talking to. It's a client that I do YouTube narration for, and he wanted to start a new channel. And when I told him how long it actually takes to record audiobooks, because he wanted to do like a story channel, he wanted to crank them out, essentially, long story short. And I told him it takes time to do this because there is script interpretation, or read through is probably necessary, and it does take time. It's not like something I can just sit here and record a 70,000 word book in one night just so you can have your content. It takes time. So he asked about my opinion about implementing AI voices, and I said, not if you want people to watch your channel, essentially. And he said, you know what? I don't like AI voices either. And I said, well, there you go. So let's figure out a plan, right? A realistic plan. If you want to do it this way, then it's gonna take time, right? Caesar then says, and the fact that it's everywhere doesn't mean we're missing out on a job opportunity. We're still in control. We still offer the best quality and will always be needed by someone. That said, hello everyone. Got my new studio quality audio interface and couldn't be happier. Most of my effects rack is now hardware and has improved my workflow tremendously. That's awesome. Paul is here. Good morning from beautiful South Arkansas. Paul Landergan says, good day, Angela et al. I tend to agree with Caesar. I think there will always be a space for real voices. Of course there is. I think there are applications for both. I think it's the clients, the middlemen, whoever is creating the project need to understand that there is a place for either voice, and you need to select the right one for that application, and that line is not quite clear to people yet, because the fast food version AI is cheap and easy and fast. It's, you can have it done pretty quickly. Whereas a home cooked meal human voice takes more time. There's more of a premium to it. So, but you have to understand that the end result is ultimately what's going to matter, and who it's being sent to, or what the purpose of this end result is. What is that end user going to think of it? Right? And I think I've brought this up before, but if the end user doesn't like AI voices either, and that's what they're given for this project, and they paid a lot of money for it, if it was me, I'd be mad. Like, I don't want that. I don't like this. How anybody I show this to, any of my clients, my group, my whatever, they're not going to like it either. Right? So I think the end user is being overlooked here when choosing whether they want the fast food or the home cooked meal version. So, but once that understanding is more broad, right? Yeah. Kat says, good morning from Washington. I think human voices will always be the best quality. Of course. Of course they will. Stacy says, good morning, Angela and chat. Good morning to you, Stacy. Tanya's here. Hey, Tanya. Evening all. I'm consciously leaving in breaths, etc., to avoid being mistaken for AI at the moment, especially in nonfiction. That is something that I'm starting to really embrace myself. I think also, as a voice actor, audiobook narrator, it's time to start really releasing the grip on the need to edit out every human nuance of our recordings. Leave in a couple of mouth clicks. Leave in the breaths. Leave in the things that make us human, right? You don't want to, again, you never want to take out all the breaths in an audiobook. I'm thinking I'm even going to start leaving in, just noises that make humans human instead of editing it all out, just to make it clear that that this is a real human voice and not be mistaken for AI. Malia says, I'm finally getting started, and it's a fun idea to do a Can AI Do This series and go wild, have fun, do all the kinds of fun reads AI could never. You should. You should. Start a YouTube channel where you do that. Do it. Do it. Because it's not just other voice actors that are going to find your channel. It's going to be businesses, authors. Do it. Dave Freeborn says, I'm a narrator VO artist, and I honestly am super irritated by the encroachment of AI narration, but I don't think it's honestly a threat to any of us, especially those of us that do. Where's the rest of your comment? Maybe you're still typing it. Maybe, especially those of us that do. Maybe that's end there. Overthinking it. Gregory says AI still can't capture certain nuances in the English language, like the character CLU from Tron. AI pronounces it CLU. Humans win. Is it? I don't know Tron. Is it Clue? I'm not that familiar with Tron, so bad job me. I guess I'm just as bad as AI. Rustic Killbilly is here. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Tess said, hello, y'all, what Caesar said. Adekoya says, spoiler alert. Excuse me. I spoke with an ACX customer agent, and she said Amazon is currently developing an AI to authors that authors will only need to upload some seconds of their own voice. Yeah, and to tell you the truth, they're not going to like it either, because it's going to sound really weird. The customer said the AI will narrate the book in the author's voice, but it will still sound robotic. I also noticed when a book is labeled AI-generated narration, customers don't like buying the audiobook. Yeah, at some point, the writing is going to be on the wall. They're going to offer all of these things to these new authors, and it's quick, it's fast, use your own voice, it's cheap. But then the listeners are either A, not going to buy the book, or B, hate it. It's going to get terrible reviews. And then that author is going to have to pay out of pocket again to have it redone. So why do that to them? It's horrible. Stacy says, I see AI voices as telephone. Choose 1 for Italian. Choose 2 for Russian type usage. That's funny. Trudy says, I know I'm late to the party, but I thought I would share this info just in case someone arrived after I did. Audacity has a decent declicker. I've been using it, and it has saved me an enormous amount of time. But I would, at this point, like we were saying, I would even just ease up on that. To make it clear that you are human, that you are the home-cooked meal. Malia says to Adekoya, that's news. It's kind of crappy considering the market and relationship they created with narrators. Yeah. But you know what? As much of a slap in the face that it is, ultimately ACX is a business. And they're going to jump on the biggest, brightest, newest, coolest tech that they can offer to make a buck. But ultimately, it's not doing the client or the end user, aka the listener, any good. I think it's going to be a harsh reality at some point in the near future. Adekoya says, I also noticed a lot of human narrators also sound like an AI, all static. And that was is that if you are wanting to become an audiobook narrator, or if you are maybe perhaps at the beginning stages, this is what I mean. And just also referencing the book that I'm currently listening to. I'm trying to absorb the information in it, and the narrator sounds like an AI. There's no inflection. There's no life to it, So we really got to put our big girl and boy pants on and get the training and the coaching to make sure that we stand out and do ourselves the best justice that we can. Practice is queen. Yep. Eric says, hello, Angela and all. Nothing compares with a genuine human voice. By the way, there is no AI in the amazing Platinum Group. Only top-notch talent and fantastic people. Of course. Of course. And that is just to touch on Academy Voices again, that we, was it last week that we had Anthony Peak on? Yeah, it was last week, I think. There's no windows in here. All the days sort of blur together. Academy Voices is an audiobook publishing company that is run by voice actors, audiobook narrators. It is in the beginning stages, but at some point we are going to get to full cast dramatized reads. Might take a while, but we're definitely going to get there. So if you're looking for a safe place to audition for audiobooks and do some royalty share audiobook jobs with us, then go over to A VO's Journey and sign up. Or I'm sorry, Academy Voices. Actually, do I have the link? I might have the link. You know what? Better yet, just sign up for Launchpad. It's probably the better thing to do. If you're in my Platinum Group, or if you've heard me talk about my Platinum Group many, many times, we are now becoming Launchpad. So we're now a part of A VO's Journey Academy. And with Launchpad, you still have all the weekly meetings on Thursdays. We still have our Discord. We still have all of our practice scripts. We still do all the things that we did before. But now we have access to recorded webinars. We have access to Academy Voices for free. There's a lot of benefits to it. So if you want all of that community training, if you want all of that, membership to Academy Voices for free, there's a link in the description of this video. Click it, sign up, and I'll see you this Thursday. Actually, not this Thursday. We launch on, I have to lose track of the days, September. So the first Launchpad meeting will be September 4th, which is, no, is that a Friday? Hold on. That would be, in my handy dandy, it is the 4th. Yeah, the 4th would be the first one that we would see you on. I was right the first time. Wendy is here. Hello, everyone. Sorry I'm late. That's okay. I hope you brought the donuts. Bring donuts when you're late. Alicia's here. Hello. My cup of tea brought the donuts. Thank you, my cup of tea. Malia says people don't even want auto-generated phone lists anymore. Tanya says, my current rights holder, RH, has taken to adding a format card to manuscripts telling narrators to add range and emotion to the read so that customers don't complain it sounds like AI. Exactly, and that is another thing that I'm seeing too, is that more and more people are accusing voice actors of being AI because they're accustomed to the AI voice and don't remember that the AI voice is modeled after actual voice actors, not the other way around. So if a voice sounds too good, you get mistaken for AI, right? Not because you have the nuances of AI, but because your voice is just that good. It's like listening to Alexa or Siri or, maybe even something that reminds them of an AI voice because it is, like butter on a biscuit, like Allie used to say. But we do have to make sure that we're adding that extra range, inflection, all of the things to make us stand apart. Hang on, oh, no, the air conditioner, no. It's hot in here. Maybe it's the light. It's hot in here. Tanya then says, the UK statistic is interesting as UK authors on ACX are offering very low rates to VOs and don't see the cost of quality VO as a marketing expense. Not all, but many. Yeah, I think that will change. I think that will change. I think the sentiment about it will change at some point in the future. But until that point, we need to do all that we can to make sure that we set ourselves way far apart and, solidify our place as a home-cooked meal and not fast food. Joy says, good afternoon, everyone, from sunny Southfield, Michigan. Hello, Joy. Lisa says, have been looking at some YouTube channels that are completely AI, and surprisingly, channels that have started recently have over 20,000 subscribers, and videos are getting thousands of views. Yep, they are, because they're pumping them out with the AI voices, right? And I think the younger generations are just accustomed to hearing them. But I don't know. Molly says it would train to for audiobooks? No, don't remove them. Never remove them. Remove them if they sound weird, if there's like a throat gurgle in it or like a nose fart or, something off-putting. If there's something in it or a big breath after a long paragraph or, whatever it is, take those out. But the vast majority of your breaths should be left in. You're a human telling a human story to humans. So humans breathe. We're accustomed to hearing breath. Don't remove it. Lisa said, check out Wild West love stories. I'm just saying that some people just don't care about real or AI. They will listen to what they like, hoping this trend goes away. I think if they had it could be several different factors that, to your point, maybe they just don't care. Or maybe the fact that these stories were just, so many of them were dumped in at one time and they went, ooh, I like this content. I want to listen to more. I don't have a real voice option, so I'm just going to, stay and listen. Or the YouTube channel was, perfectly SEO optimized. Whatever it is. I'm thinking on the algorithm side of it, right? So it's getting pushed to more people. Maybe they're doing some promotion. I don't know what it is, but if those people had a real voice option, if they had the opportunity to have a real voice option, I think it would be just as popular, if not more so. But just like the example that I was talking about earlier, everything has to happen like this. And it just can't with real voices. So that is really the only caveat that we have to contend with. But as I explained to this client last night, the end result is really what's going to matter most to him, right? And that is to have more subscriptions and happy listeners that come back for more. Gregory says, I used to worry about AI, but I truly believe that the desire for it will wane exponentially, just like what happened to me eating too many Reese's Pieces Christmas 8 in 1983. Can't stand them now. Blech. Yeah, I think so too. Joy says, hey, AI can't say can't, ain't, won't. It'll be like Data from Star Trek Next Generation. Dantastic Guy says, my biggest concern is how content creators on YouTube are using famous podcasters' voices and mixing up what they say. There needs to be transparency when channels are stealing the voices of humans. That is a great point. And that's another one that I brought up to my client last night, that we're still sort of in the wild, wild west when it comes to AI implementation. And as we noted before, YouTube has started to demonetize channels that were all AI generated. So that is a good step forward. And if that is a indication of anything that could be possibly in the future, there's going to be more regulations on this stuff at some point in the future. So what I told my client last night is that why would you want to put your channel that you're investing so much into, time and paying me and all the things, to possibly have it go away in the future if you pepper in some AI voices? What happens if there's a regulation on that at some point in the future, right? Because depending on where you get your AI voice from, what if it's from someone who had sort of like the TikTok thing? It was a voice that should not have been used for that purpose. And then all of a sudden you have this, cease and desist. You have this regulation on your channel. Why would you want to take that chance? Because there's no guarantee of where the voice came from. And if that company decided to take a famous podcaster's voice and use it for AI training and to use you know what I mean? That should be the major concern for people when they're using AI voices. Is that, where did that voice come from? Is it going to be, is the kibosh going to be put on it at some point in the future? Why would you want to take that chance? Instead of just investing in a real voice actor up front. Masonry Construction says, and yet, in spite of Audible having a money motive, they limit the heck out of our use of promo codes and who can use them. Highly restricted, even if you give it a disclaimer. Yeah, I think at some point this will all wash out. We're just still in the beginning, middle stages of this, AI world switchover. Not enough regulations in place yet. Wendy said, oh, I forgot donuts. No need to comment. You all know how I feel about AI for all sorts of reasons. Yes, Wendy, we are very aware. Paul says, regarding real narrators that sound like AI, I know of one narrator, obviously no names, who has sampled their own voice, 11 Labs, I believe, and is using this to produce books. There is that option. I don't believe they're getting much work this way, but it's clearly happening. Yes, even Fiverr has rolled out for voice actors that you can, I don't know if it's available for everyone, but I have seen it. Maybe it's a beta thing, but they're giving voice actors the opportunity to AI model their own voices. That, I don't know if that's what you were talking about. But Fiverr has that too. I wouldn't do that, because my fear is, again, the whole regulations thing. Where is that AI generated or AI trained model of my voice going to end up? I mean, what if Fiverr gets sold, or what if I quit? What are they going to do with my voice that I have no way to consent to in the future? No. Peak Parable says, whether like it or not, it's here. Adapt or die. I view AI as competition. Competition is good. We use AI tech to help edit. We can't pick and choose which ones we want and which we don't want, accept all. I totally agree with you. I agree with you. AI implementation is a good thing, but we need to understand the differences what it can and can't do. And as someone who is directly, in the sights of AI, we need to adapt by training and being better than, right? The other option, and not being afraid of the fast food, but investing in ourselves to make sure that we are the home cooked meal, right? Malia says, I signed up for Launchpad a few days ago and I'm excited. Discord has been fun. Good. Good. Welcome. We already read that one. Peak Parable says, or none. Oh, that was a continuation. So you said accept all or none. Either way, it's here to stay, so just improve and get better. It's like the inflexible of new COVID audiobook narrators. I'm one of them. There is a market for low quality and high quality. Malia says, I've gotten accused of being AI and I was surprised. But then they said they liked my voice better and told me I should audition for Siri or Alexa. Not sure we want to hear my voice everywhere. Yeah. Learned something new today. Good. At the very least, that's my hope for these live chats, is that you learn something, or at least made you think, something positive came out of it. Sage says, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry I'm late. I just got home from physical therapy, still dealing with the shoulder. Anyways, I made sure to bring honey-dipped donuts. Oh, God. Honey-dipped donuts and chocolate-filled croissants. Oh, Sage, you're speaking my language. Masonry construction. How about this philosophical thought? Cinema is over 100 years old, but good. Live theater is still alive and thriving. Exactly. Sasha says, hello, Angela and group. Hello to you, Sasha. Thanks for joining. Sage says, I have listened, or should I say tried listening to a couple audiobooks that ended up being AI. They were awful. I just couldn't get past the first few sentences. Same. Again, every time I come across something on YouTube that is a story or a documentary or some kind of, creepy story, cryptid something or other that interests me, and I find out it's AI, I stop listening. I can't do it. It's icky. Not because I'm a voice actor. I was the same way before a voice actor. Because, AI voices have been around for a while. They just have gotten better and better, right? Tall Latin mama. Hello, all. I'm late, but brought the donuts. Keep pumping the wisdom, Angela. Looking forward to the collab. Good. Peak Parable says, keep in mind YouTube has implemented and demonetized material and moving towards more regulation. That is what the SAG-AFTRA disputed were about as well. Yes, as we continue to move forward, there will be more and more regulations on things. So remember that we are still in the beginning stages of integrating AI into our lives. And there will be more regulations as we go along to stop or at least reduce the piracy, in the attempt to reduce or stop the piracy of celebrity voices and things like that. Paul says, I drive for a living and do a listening and positively cannot tolerate AI for more than 5 minutes or so. Saying he lives instead of he lives. He lives instead of he lives gets on my nerves. Oh, yeah. Trudy says, please repeat the announcement about September 2nd. I stepped to answer the door. September 4th is when our first Launchpad meeting will occur. So again, Platinum is becoming Launchpad. So there is a link in the description below that you click to join Launchpad. It's basically my Platinum group with a few extra benefits. The biggest one being free membership. Your membership to Academy Voices for audiobooks is included. We launch Launchpad on the 1st of September. But our first meeting will be on September 4th. Not this Thursday, next Thursday. Peak Parable says, with that, YouTube monetization is only a small part of business income. Outside platform sales can be more lucrative than absence. Just something to keep in mind. Stacy says that topic of AI voice mimic of a celeb is also something that actors are dealing with. AI generated scans are now a thing. People have to protect from scans being used for film. Yeah, it's getting crazy, and it's exactly why that more regulations are going to have to be put in place. They're going to have to be, because there's going to be lawsuits all over the place. Malia says, your voice is your property. Be very careful how you market and sell it. The integrity still matters. Sage says, also make sure to click on that little like button. Yes. Please do all the YouTube-y things. I appreciate it. My algorithms, thank you. Abe says, super late to the party. Maple bacon beignets. Is there a maple bacon beignet? Is there such a thing? Good Lord. Kat says, hopefully, if we buy a book with AI narration and dislike it, then demand a refund, maybe that will give sellers a clue. Food for thought. Food for thought. Interesting. I didn't say it. Kat did. Okay. Where are we at on time? Okay, so we still got a few more minutes. Let's see. I just want to make sure that it was everything that I wanted to say. Another statistic I found was 61% of companies say voice sets their marketing tone. 36% say it personalizes the experience. So why would someone want to use an AI voice for that matter if it's that important for branding, right? If you think about what's a good one that immediately, like the Folgers commercial, or I'm talking about the old school one, or like a Ford truck commercial. Would it be the same? You know, I'm talking about branding. Would it be the same if it was like a female's voice? Not to talk about gender or anything like that, but I mean the Ford truck commercials that have been around forever, they're all usually like the campfire, gritty, deep male voices. They just always, that's the branding of, the Ford truck. So what if they used a AI voice for that tried to emulate that same sort of gritty, deep male, it probably wouldn't sound quite right. And maybe that's just my opinion. Just saying. Wendy says, okay, so how do I bring donuts? You just say, hey, and you just type it. Here's the donuts. Haven't been here much due to a session at the same time, but now it's been changed. Well, good. Then you get to be here more often. Dantastic Guy says, don't forget that there are YouTube extensions that you can use to give videos a thumbs down. And that hopefully affects the algorithm. And you can always report a video. Andrew says, we communicate so much with our breathing. Why hide that? Exactly. I mean, especially in fiction, when we're doing character dialogue and when maybe it's an emotional scene and we got sniffling and breathing and, that is definitely, but as the narrator of that fiction, narrators also breathe. And you can still, you can do so much with just breath. So why cut it out? Exactly. My stomach's growling. All right. Is there anything else that we missed? Oh, I think, did someone answer this question? Are the books on Audible that are AI narrated, are they labeled as AI narrated? Because I have an Audible subscription, but I obviously I don't look for AI generated books. And the books that I listen to, I don't think would use an AI voice because they're like full cast. They're dramatized, right? With sound effects and the whole thing. So I don't think they would ever use an AI voice for that. But are the AI voice narrated books labeled as such? Wendy says, save the breaths. Just ask me. Fantastic Guy says, by the way, with the new Launchpad, is there an option to sign up for donuts? No, but there should be. There definitely should be. AI is prohibited unless you buy it through them, I think. It used to be prohibited. It used to be definitely one of the rules. But now that they're seeing monetary gain in it, why not offer it, to indie publishers or indie authors? So it's a money grab. It's a money grab for sure that I think is not going to have great results. Because again, everyone's forgetting about the end user. They're just focused on what's the cheapest way I can get this book done quickly to get my product out there, totally neglecting the person who is going to buy it or listen to it. They have a note that it's a voice generator. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. So at least when you buy a book and without listening to the sample, you can see up front. So that's transparency that I at least appreciate. But I'm curious. I'm curious about how well those books sell and if there are refunds asked compared to real voice books. I wonder if I can find that somewhere. I'd be curious to know what those results are. Maybe it's still too soon. Millie says, I got lucky in working on a project that I need both English and French for, which I happen to be bilingual. And so I'm wondering if that's an advantage over AI and diversification we can expand. Of course it is. I mean, just for other voice actors in general, you already have a leg up on the majority of us who aren't bilingual. I think being a human versus AI is already a leg up. You just have to make sure that you can, establish yourself as such. That is my point. No matter what kind of accents, languages, or anything else that you have the capability to do, which is always a good thing, just as a voice actor in general. But in order to continue to stand apart from AI, to make sure that you can effectively, reflect your range of emotions and things. I'm sorry, I'm distracted. It's hot as heck in here. I'm trying to get I feel like I'm cooking. And it's humid too, which doesn't help. There was a huge storm last night. It's humid and Masonry says, thinking seriously of going non-exclusive on Audible. Abe says, I use AI voice and Word. I listen to my manuscripts while I'm working. I get the gist of the story, and it has such a terrible quality that how I want it performed becomes super obvious to me. Oh, that's cool. That's an interesting way to go about it. Interesting. All right, you guys, if there aren't any other comments or anything, then I think we'll wrap this one up. But again, get the training, get the coaching. Your best bet as a new audiobook narrator or someone who's sort of in the beginning is to join groups. At the very least, get into groups on Facebook, find workshops, mastermind academies, online schools. The best one that I know of, the best bang for your buck, I mean, there really isn't any, it's kind of a no-brainer, is joining a VO's Academy, a VO's Journey Academy. Kind of mush them together, a VO's Journey Academy. Again, the link is to join is in the description below. There's 3 different tiers. There's Launchpad, which is basically my platinum. That is, I'm a little biased. It's pretty awesome in and of itself because we do get together every Thursday for a couple of hours and talk about, how to better ourselves as audiobook narrators. We talk about Fiverr gigs, your websites. We go through just about everything in those groups as a group. And then there's Core, which is Launchpad, which has everything I just talked about. Plus you have access to like 12 or 13 classes with other coaches, with 3 or 4 other coaches apart from myself, because I'm also a coach. And then you have the premium, which is everything I stated. Plus you have, I think, webinar access and the opportunity to meet with a specific coach of your choice every month. So, but all 3 of those tiers are still less than you would pay a coach in a month, sometimes by half or less. So, I mean, it's a great deal. It's a great academy. Can't really beat it, but I hope to see you guys there. Let's see if there's anything else, but all right, you guys, I will be back next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel. If there's something that you guys want to talk about as a group, you know, or I pick my brain about, then please put it in the comments below. This is why these are here, is to answer your questions, to get together and talk about things that you guys want to talk about. So let's talk about them. Just tell me what you want to talk about. All right, you guys, I will see you next week. And for those of you in my Platinum group, I will see you on Thursday, where we will be doing a full cast read. That's what you guys voted on. So we'll be doing a full group cast read on Thursday. So I'll see you guys then. It'll be fun. Bye, guys. Thank you for listening to She Lancer Mom Entrepreneur with VoiceOver Angela. That's me. For more information about me, visit my website, voiceoverangela.com, or hop on over to my YouTube channel, VoiceOver Angela. Again, thanks for listening. Have a great day.